beautiful soul. Welcome to Cultivate Your Joyful Life, where we believe true fulfillment blooms from within. I'm Emily Liu, your certified life coach, and I'm on a mission to help you create a life you freaking love. In a world where we constantly juggle priorities from career to parenting, relationships to health, it's easy to feel overwhelmed or not enough. But don't worry, in this corner of the universe, I'm here to share practical tips and inspiration to help you access your inner joy right now. So, grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's cultivate your joyful life together. Here we go. Welcome back. Okay, I'm going to start off this episode with a little fun life update. I'm recording this out of order at the time of speaking. Today is May 3rd as I'm recording this, and the next episode, episode 8, is with Megan Myers, and you will hear me go on a tirade about how difficult finding a house is in this market. I've been house hunting for the past 3 years. My husband is a realtor in Arizona, so luckily he has been taking me around. We've probably seen over 100 houses, and every single day for the past 900, whatever 365 times 3 is, I have been looking at listings. Like, it's the first thing I do in the morning. It's kind of become really compulsive. Like, I just am scouring the internet at all times, making sure that I can hop on a house because it's been so competitive in this market. And altogether, I'm going to admit that I've been really selective, really picky. I think overall, I've probably put in a total of 7 offers over the past 3 years, and none of them have been accepted. We've been continuously beat out over and over and over again. The beautiful thing about looking at over 100 houses is I've gotten so much clarity of what I want, and I've been able to really visualize every single room in my head. I know exactly what house I want, and each time I went to an open house, I got even more clarity. I was like, "Ooh, I like this. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, the next house can't have this." And I just got so clear on what it is that I want. Well, we are officially in escrow. I'm so excited because, as you'll hear in the next episode, episode 8, I was just griping to Megan about how difficult it is to find a house. And we went to go see this house. It's a 1-story house, which was really, really important to me to have a single story because I joke that I have like the body of a 60-year-old. I cannot do stairs. And I've also fallen down 2 sets of stairs in my life. And one left my buttocks like really, really sore. And I could have sworn I hurt my hip. And then the second one, I actually ended up on crutches for a solid 4 months because I was holding Ryan and I lost my balance, and instead of dropping him, I held him, but everything else on my body, like my foot just got fractured and my ankle got torn, and yeah, it was just really nasty. So I'm not doing stairs anymore. This home is in a prime location. It's very central. That's really important to me, and it is 10 minutes away from Ryan and Zoe's new elementary school, or the elementary school that they're going to be going to. So that was also really important. And then initially, we didn't think we wanted a pool. We didn't want to deal with the maintenance of it all. But then as we started looking at houses, we were like, oh, that might actually be really fun and nice for the kids to grow up in when we can enjoy the hot 6 months out of the year if we had a pool. And so the home that we found is, it has a play pool. It's not like a huge pool, but it's a small pool where the kids can use to splash and can just really learn how to swim and have fun in. And then the backyard is huge. And that's another thing. When I started my house hunt 3 years ago, I was like, I don't really care about yard. Like that's just more maintenance. That's just more work. But as we started looking at different houses, we started to think, wow, it's so nice to have like your own private backyard or your own private park, essentially. So this home has a bigger backyard than, again, what we were initially thinking, but we can just visualize it and see it as a space that's going to be so uplifting and homey. And again, just a place to create so many memories. So anyways, the other non-negotiable for our home was making sure that it had a good floor plan and enough space to have my own dedicated office. And this new home checks all those boxes. So all that to say, we saw this house, and to be honest, when we looked at the listing on Zillow, we didn't jump on it because it was just really ugly. The photographs, for one, were taken on a rainy day, and so everything just looked really dark and gloomy. Even like the exterior of the home and the backyard, like everything was wet in the pictures, and it just didn't present well. And the home had been listed for about 2 weeks, and then we saw that they dropped the price, and we just thought, okay, instead of like just judging it by its pictures, let's go and see what this home looks like. And we did a home tour. It was really weird because the owner was still at home. Normally they leave the house, but he was just this like 80-year-old man that was so proud of his home. He wanted to give us like his own tour of it. And I don't know, the home was just so much more beautiful than the pictures made it seem to look. And in the end, we put an offer in the same day. And the realtor called my husband to let him know that they just received another higher offer. But the owner loved Zoe, my little 2-year-old, so much and was like, I really want this home to go to a family that can grow up in this home. And so they accepted our offer. And here's the whole kicker of all of this. The street address is Megan Drive. So I was like just laughing because literally 5 days ago, I was like venting on the podcast to Megan Myers about how difficult everything is. And here we are officially in escrow on Megan Drive. So I'm just so excited about this new chapter. And it's just a really big reminder that sometimes good things come when you're patient. And I also know how challenging it is to be patient while things are trying to sort themselves out, which you'll learn all about in Megan Myers' episode 8. But yeah, that I wanted to share that update because I think I've been talking about house hunting on and off through my newsletter, through my Instagram, but it's officially in the works right now. We probably won't move in until sometime in August because we need to, the owner wants to live there a little bit longer after we get our keys. And then we're going to probably renovate because let me tell you right now, the home is not our vibe. There's a den with green walls, like really bright green. And then the kitchen has red walls. It's just not my ideal wabi-sabi home. Like I want a home that's really calm and really just grounded, and I could feel really uplifted and inspired by. So I've been making a mood board and a vision board of my coffee shop home, and I just can't wait to see it unfold and come together. All of that being said, it's taken me 3 years to figure out what it is that I want in a home. And I have, again, gone through 100 different houses. And to me, action does spark clarity, like really just going through this process of trying different homes on, walking through them, seeing different listings, seeing what's available and what's possible has given me a lot of clarity. But I also know when it comes to career, there's a lot easier ways to get narrowed in on your target without necessarily spending years or decades of just trying on different fields, different certifications, different boot camps to realize whether or not you want this career path as your career path. And so if you are looking for career clarity, you're really wondering, out of the 12,000 titles that exist out there, what title is right for me? Or what environment is right for me? Or how do I really look at a job description or an offer letter and know, is this job, is this environment, is this company aligned for me? If any of those questions are on your mind, then I want to invite you to our Career Clarity Workshop. It's happening on May 22nd and May 23rd. It's a brand new live workshop where I'm just going to walk you through all the ingredients and formula to get clear on your career path. So if you are feeling like you are stuck, you feel like you are unhappy, you feel like you're just settling for the status quo, and you're kind of like, what's the point of all this? Then come join me. I'm going to be sharing with you how to find career happiness and just overall life happiness, making sure that you're really finding your purpose and you have a North Compass by the end of our 2-day workshop, and you know how to find the roles that light you up. So you can go over to our show notes or go to cultivate.com/clarity workshop. Sign up. You won't regret it. It's going to be so helpful if you are navigating your career blind. I like to say, you can take on a bunch of different things and say yes to a bunch of different things, but what if it's taking you to Oklahoma when your soul actually belongs in New York City? I want you to be able to discern what a great job is for you, and the only way to know that is when you know yourself. And that's what this Career Clarity Workshop is going to be. Really getting so clear on who you are, what your purpose is, what your gifts are in this world, that you can't be pulled in the wrong direction. Okay, in this episode, I want to talk about how to give yourself permission to pivot, because making a change is scary. Making a change can feel really daunting to the point where we just stay where we are, even though our soul is begging for a change. So in this episode, I really want to talk about how my clients have been able to make changes, as well as how I've been able to make changes, and what I've determined as the 6 aspects or things that we tend to hold on to that are keeping us stuck. And at the end of this episode, I'll definitely give you some actionable tools to help you get unstuck and start moving towards your most aligned path. So, as I was thinking about my own career pivot, I talked about this in episode 1, where I feel like I've been wanting to make a career pivot for the past 2 years. My soul has been begging me to talk about things other than just career. Again, I still talk a lot about career, and we're actually enrolling for our Happily Hired Formula program this month, because to me, finding a career that lights you up is a huge part of your career happiness, but it's not the only part. And so for a long time now, the past 2 years, I've just been wanting to talk about something different, do something different, but I stayed where I was until January because I was just so afraid of losing my identity. So the first thing that I think keeps a lot of us stuck is our attachment to our identity. And it's so interesting because I talk to a lot of job seekers who get laid off, and they tell me things like, well, I'm really nervous to go network because now that I don't have this title, like, what am I? And I'm like, if you were a salesperson, what are you? You're a relationship builder. Like, your title is fluid. Your title goes with you regardless of your employment status. But what are those core components of who you are? And so my whole identity that I've built over the past 6 years has been a career coach. I'm known as a job search expert. I have credentials and awards out there that are all about being a career coach and job search expert. So, when I wanted to make a move to more general holistic life coaching, even though that's like who I am at my core and what I've been doing throughout all these past 6 years anyway, I just felt like I don't want to lose this identity, or it's so scary to shift out of this identity. If I'm not a career coach, then what am I? which to me is so silly now that I think back on it. Like, duh, of course I'm a life coach. Like, that's who I am at my core. That's who I am at my essence, is someone who wants to help others, somebody who gets so curious and inquisitive and is wanting to help people better themselves. Like, yeah, I could do that as a career coach. I could do that as a life coach. I could do that as a friend, a mentor. There's so many ways that I can do it that's not attached to just one title. Even as a mom, like, I feel like I'm doing that, right? So the first thing is really making sure that you're not putting all of your identity into a title. You're not putting all of your identity into what your past career, what your past resume speaks, but instead you're really able to find the through line of, at my core, this is who I am, so that I'm not tied to just this one thing. Because when we put so much power into this one thing, then of course it gets really difficult to shed that, because the second thing that keeps us stuck is the sunken cost fallacy. And this is called a fallacy because it's not true. It feels true, but it's not true. So let me just read to you the definition of sunken cost fallacy. This is the phenomenon whereby a person is reluctant to abandon a strategy or course of action because they have invested heavily in it, even when it is clear that abandonment would be more beneficial. So one way that we practice sunken cost fallacy is our closets. How many of you have shoes that you never ever wear? Maybe it even still has the price tag on it, or clothes are hanging with the price tag on it and you've not worn it. It's been hanging in your closet for a year or 2 years, but you won't let it go because you're reluctant to abandon it because you've already invested in it. A lot of us have a sunken cost fallacy around relationships. I remember my first boyfriend, we dated for 5 years and I was so afraid to break up with him. One, because I was afraid of hurting his feelings, but two, I had the sunken cost fallacy of like, well, he knows me so well. He's seen me grow up from 18 to 23. We have all of these pictures together. Like, I'm going to have to delete all these photos. Like, my whole memory bank photo album is going to be gone if we break up. And, it's such a sunken cost because the truth of the matter is I got what I needed at the time. We grew together, but we also grew apart. And it doesn't mean that that time that we invested was a complete waste. It helped shape us and it gave us a lot during that time period. But I wish I had the courage to kind of speak up earlier and just be like, okay, we've grown apart. This isn't working out, rather than just trying to wait. Like, I literally was doing things hoping that he would be the one to break up with me. Sometimes we know things are past its expiration date, but we hold on to them because of this sunken cost fallacy. So for me, the pivot into becoming a life coach was I was so afraid that everything that I had built over these past 6 years would be completely gone or completely wasted. But when I think about it, I'm like, actually, no, because this knowledge, this information, this track record of success goes with me. Like, if I were to start a business from scratch tomorrow, the truth is I would be way ahead of my first business that I ever started because I'm not needing to learn how to do marketing. I'm not needing to learn what social media is or how to utilize Canva. There's just so many things that I've learned that I transfer over to the next place. And so that's one thing that I want every pivoter to know is that, again, we hear that term transferable skills. This is what we're talking about. There's so many things, even if it's not in the same context or the same exact industry, there's so many tools and knowledge that you just bring with you and skills that you've honed because of your past experiences that lead you to where you are. The third thing that keeps you stuck from pivoting is believing in shoulds. So many of us operate from shoulds, like I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I should not do this, I should not do that. We're shoulding all over ourselves because we have so many societal, historical, cultural, familial expectations that we put on ourselves. So I'm going to give you an example from one of my clients, Karen. She grew up in a family of attorneys. They have a family practice in their city that they live in, and their name is all over billboards. And when she graduated from college, it was just expected that she should go to law school, that she should take over the family practice. And there was so much pressure on her to go down this one career path because her family has generations of practicing law. But I believe that we're all designed so uniquely on this planet with unique gifts and unique personalities, and we're all designed so differently. Well, Karen did all the things she should. She went to college, she passed the LSAT, she got accepted into a really great law school, she passed the bar, and then she started working at her family firm. And she said from the minute she started law school, she hated it. But she just kept pushing because it's what she should do. And it wasn't until the second year of practicing law that she was just having all of these health ailments, like putting on weight. She said she had like headaches all the time. Her stomach would hurt all the time. And she just couldn't figure out what it was. But it was her body having this like visceral reaction to going to work every single day because it's something that she was not lit up by at all. And what she ultimately had to come to terms with is letting her family, especially her father, know that this is not my path. This is not what I want to do. She was so terrified of like getting his disapproval or being the disappointing child in the family. Through our conversations and our coaching sessions, she realized what she was most passionate about was making an impact in children. She really wanted to become an adoption attorney if she was going to continue practicing the law field. What she was doing in corporate bankruptcy law was really soul-sucking to her, in her words. So she ended up mustering up the courage to let her father know that she really wanted to practice adoption law, and she really wanted to help other families and children come together. And that felt more meaningful to her. In the end, her father was just like, yeah, I don't want to hold you back from being unhappy in your career. I don't want to be the one holding you back from feeling happy. Like that's what he said to her. And he said, go for it. And she was just so elated. She made the pivot. And now she says, like, it isn't the law that I'm not interested in. It was just the subject matter that I wasn't interested in. But now I love what I do. I love practicing law, and she's just so much happier. Her body got back into a healthy state. She lost the weight that she had gained over the past 2 years, and she's just so much more joyful. And she says her family can see it. Like they make comments all the time about how much more jazzed she is in life and how excited she is. And when she talks about the cases that she's working on, like she really lights up as she talks about them. And that's how she knows she's on the right path. So when I was working with Karen, I wasn't a parent at the time. But now as a parent, I recognize, yeah, like most parents out there just want their kids to be happy and successful. And you know, happy and successful is kind of fleeting. What they really want is the kids to be resilient, to be able to tackle any challenges that come through, because that's what makes you happy and successful. But anyway, I'm sharing all this because your parents at the end of the day want you to be happy, and no one is living your life. Nobody has the same personality and the same gifts and the same purpose as you. So it's really instrumental to learn what authenticity looks like for you and to express that. Let the career be the vehicle for that, and find other ways in your life where you can do that. And that really stems from want, from desire, rather than should or need. So anytime you find yourself or catch yourself saying, I should do this, I need to do that, really check in. Do I want to do that? Do I desire that? And if the answer is yes, then you know you're making decisions from your path rather than society, from cultural, historical, familial references and expectations. Because we all come into this world with all these expectations and standards set on us. But we get to ask, whose are these? Are these my beliefs? Are these my desires? Are these my perspectives of how I want to view the world? Of how I want to live my life? Of how I want to be in integrity? And if not, great. You have the power to make that pivot. By the way, I hope by sharing our examples, you're recognizing that career pivots don't always have to be so drastic. Like you don't have to be an attorney and then become an artist overnight. Or in my case, a career coach to a life coach. And truthfully, I'm still doing both. The beautiful thing about career pivots is that oftentimes just a subtle change in who you're serving or who you're working with or the environment or the subject matter can be a huge change. So you don't have to, again, change titles from one spectrum to another. You could still maybe even be in your own profession or the same profession and just find something that lights you up more. So in Karen's case, again, really getting clear on her purpose, her impact, who she wants to serve, and still utilize the same skill sets, but to make sure that that audience is connected to her. All right, the fourth one is age. I think a lot of us feel that we're either too old or too young to make a career pivot. And it's so fascinating because I've worked with clients on both ends of the spectrum, or even in their middle-aged years, like 35 or 33. And the funny thing is no one ever thinks they're at the prime age to make a change. Like you talk to somebody who's in their 40s and they're like, oh man, if only I didn't have kids and a family. If I were doing this in my 20s, then I could make that change. Then you talk to the people in the 20s and they're like, oh, I don't have enough experience. Maybe if I get more credentials or achievements or awards under my belt, then people will take me more seriously. So it's so interesting and fascinating that no one ever thinks that they're at an optimal age. And I look back when I was in my 20s, I was so lost. I was in this cold call center job. I hated it so much. And I was just clinging on to anything, like grasping for anything around me. And I thought, okay, I want to become a physician assistant. Like it's less schooling than a doctor, but still making a really sizable salary. And so let me go through that path. And then I realized, oh shoot, I have to go back to get my bachelor's prerequisites before I can even apply to this PA school, which will take another 2 years. And at the time I was only like 23. And I was already thinking, oh, I'm too old to make this kind of change. Like this is, again, the sunken cost fallacy. Like I will be losing so much time. And what I did instead of going down that route is I just started taking random jobs. And I remember like 2 or 3 years later, I was looking at like how miserable I still was and thinking, oh man, like if I just made that decision and committed to that decision 2 or 3 years ago, I'd already have graduated by now. And so I just really want to give you that permission to let go of your age. Again, age is just a number. And if you really want to look at your age, then zoom out all the way. How many more years do you have until you retire? You know, most people retire at the age of 66. Even if you're 50 years old, that's nearly 2 decades that you spend in your career. Or even if it's 1 decade left, do you want that decade to be filled with meaning and purpose and excitement? The fifth thing that keeps people stuck is not seeing any possibilities, like really looking at the world through a very narrow lens and thinking that's not even possible. And I hear this a lot in the context of industry switches. People saying, you know, I want to move into entertainment, but my background is a nonprofit. so I can't make that change. And it's fascinating because, if we were to really believe that there's no possibility to make a move, well, it would mean that everybody selected a major, everybody started a job in a specific industry, and they stayed there for the next 30 years. That used to be true back in the day when we had trades, but in this fast evolving world, that's just not true anymore. And I remember I had a client who really wanted to be a project manager for Disney. And she came from a financial background and was like, well, entertainment is all about who you know, and you have to have previous tech or entertainment experience. So nobody's going to hire me. And what we did was so cool. We went on LinkedIn. I just typed in project manager Disney. I pulled up the first profile and boom, it was like this project manager currently working at Disney. But when you looked at her background prior to that, she was a project manager working in a financial, I think it was Wells Fargo, a financial institution. And my client was just like, whoa, like if she could do that, then maybe I can do that too. And I was like, yes, because people are proving that there are career pivots happening all the time. And the moment you can find somebody who has done it, most people are not special. Like I always tell people, I'm not special. Like I'm just a normal human being who took each path and opened up doors for myself. And again, not special, but it's worked for me. So like, why can't it work for you too? Right? So I just really want to preface that so many people think you need to have this like special connection and look, nepotism does exist. But there's also people who get jobs from complete strangers. And just by putting in an application and putting things out there, there's so many ways to land an opportunity. But I think it really begins with one, clarity of what it is that you want. What is that you're targeting? What is it that you're looking for? And then two is truly the belief that it is possible. And again, if you are feeling limited in that possibilities, like you just won't even allow yourself to dream. I always say, go find proof. Find somebody who's walked your path that you want to walk down. And to me, that is just so magical when you can find somebody who is walking proof that what you want exists. What you want is possible. I say it all the time. What's possible for one is possible for all. And the final thing that I believe keeps people stuck and unhappy is living in the comfort zone and being afraid of failure. I talk to so many people that are so afraid of failure. They're afraid of getting a no. They're afraid of getting rejected. They're afraid of being ghosted. And so it's so much more comfortable to just stay where you are, to stay put, not even put a feeler out there. And what that boils down to is having a fixed mindset over a growth mindset. A fixed mindset is the belief that everyone has the same amount of talent and intelligence that they have, and it doesn't change. It's just this static, fixed level. When you operate from a fixed mindset, you're avoiding learning because you think it's pointless. You give up easily. Like any moment of mistake or failure leads you to shut down because you want to avoid judgment from others. You also don't put yourself out there because you don't want others to think that you are not smart or intelligent or good enough. You view failures as personal failings. Like you really take it personally versus just a setback or a learning opportunity. You ignore feedback or take it as personal criticism. Someone with a fixed mindset may ignore feedback or take it really personally. And again, just overall avoid any challenges because the worst thing that could happen is hearing a no or collecting a failure. And another big thing about fixed mindset is that they feel threatened by other people's successes. So, a lot of it goes back to thinking instead of abundantly of, what's possible for one is possible for all. It's really fixed on scarcity, almost like if somebody already got that, then that's like not going to happen for me, or I can't get that because it's already taken. So just really interesting to hear what the fixed mindset is versus a growth mindset, which is the belief that talent and intelligence are just like any other skill, that you can develop them and improve upon them at any time. So somebody who operates from a growth mindset is really believing in lifelong learning. There's always room to improve, to grow. Instead of looking at things black and white, they also look at things as the gray, the possibilities. They really like to put in effort to learning new things. It's not necessarily about the end goal or the outcome or the destination, but rather the journey along the way. They believe in working hard towards mastering their skill. Again, knowing that everything is just a skill that can be practiced and learned. They do look at failures from a viewpoint of a temporary setback. Again, asking, okay, what did I learn here? What's the lesson? What can I improve upon so that the next time I do this again, I don't get the same results? So in many ways, it's almost looking at it from a scientific lens. You know, as a scientist in Bio 101, you do experiments, you jot down the record and the data and the analysis, and then you're like, okay, well, maybe if I tried this the next time, then this will give me a different solution. They really view feedback as an important source of information that can help them improve. So they welcome feedback and they're not defensive about feedback, but really like, yeah, can you share with me what you're seeing? How can I improve so I can take this information and become better? They're willing to embrace new challenges, and ultimately they're inspired by others' successes because, again, they believe what's possible for one is possible for all. So anytime you're making a pivot and you're operating from a fixed mindset, you're not going to make a change. You're not going to take any action because it's just too scary. One of the best stories I've heard is from Sarah Blakely. She's the founder of Spanx. I believe she's the first self-made woman billionaire, which is incredible. But she was telling a story about how every single day at the dinner table, her dad, who I believe was an entrepreneur, would ask her and her brother, so what did you guys fail at today? And if they said nothing, he would be like disappointed. He'd be like, oh. But he really encouraged his children to fail because he knew that if they were trying something different, they were trying something new, they were putting themselves out there, the failure was inevitable. Something wasn't going to pan out, but along the way was going to be a lot of successes, a lot of wins to share because they're not afraid of putting themselves out there. And Sarah Blakely has an incredible story of how she didn't take no for an answer. She would get constantly rejected before she found the first investor of Spanx, or her first manufacturer of Spanx. If she had listened to the first no, she wouldn't have built her billionaire empire. All it took was one yes along the way. So I hope you enjoyed those 6 things to help you determine where you're feeling stuck, and you can start to give yourself permission to pivot. What you can do is really take any of those that resonated with you and get really honest and journal. What do you really want? Allow yourself to unplug and reflect and create a vision for yourself. And then when you have that vision, you want to start taking a small action, because action is what breeds clarity. It also gives you confidence along the way. Confidence is sprung from just doing it. Even when you haven't mastered the skill, even when you're not entirely sure, because again, that action is going to build a muscle inside of you. People always ask me, how do you have the confidence to do a YouTube video or a podcast or go on IG Live? And it all started because I was willing to get messy. I was willing to suck. I was willing to make a fool out of myself. And I did it in very low stakes ways. So initially, before I ever went on a live stream, I practiced on IG story. Back then, they lasted 15 seconds each clip, and it would just go poof in 24 hours. So I just knew, like, no matter how crappy this is, it's not going to be there forever. It's not going to live on the internet. It's going to just disappear. And so I started off, I think, gosh, I can't remember now, but I would say probably for at least 3 months or maybe even 6 months, every single day, I just practiced going on my IG story, even when it was just my family and my friends that were probably like, what is she doing? I just went live, and that ultimately started to build the confidence because people actually started messaging me back like, thanks for sharing that, or, oh, I really liked your story today. And just hearing that feedback was super helpful. And I'd ask my husband like, oh, like, do you think I'm talking too fast? Was I clear enough? Did you enjoy this? And he would actually give me pointers and feedback. So the last thing that I will share, the last tip is I would only share your vision and your goals with people that have already walked your path or someone that you really trust. You know, when I first started my business in 2016, I kind of made the mistake of telling everyone and anyone that I was going to take this leap of faith into my business. And, you know, I know it came with good intention, but my family, my mom specifically, was like, what? You're going to leave your cushion job to become a what? Like, you've never created a business before. I think you should just stay. And I know a lot of that fear was her own projected fear. And obviously she wanted the best for me. And what she thought was the best for me was this cushion, stable, 9 to 5, predictable income. Like, what do you know? Another paycheck just landed in my bank account, no matter how little I worked or how much I worked. I knew it came from a good place, but if I had listened to that voice, I wouldn't have gone on to my mission and doing what I love and creating what I love and ultimately designing a career in life that I love. So I just really encourage you to be cautious of who you're asking for advice from. Have they walked the path that you want to go on? Otherwise, all you're going to hear is their projected fears, and what you really want to hear from are the people who've done the things that you want to do. All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I want to just remind you again, if you are looking for career clarity, you really want to make a career pivot, then be sure to check out the Career Clarity Workshop. Again, that's cultivate.com/clarity workshop. And if you're interested in joining the Happily Hired Formula when we open our doors on May 24, this is my group coaching program that helps you make a career pivot. So this is really the job search strategy, how to brand yourself, network, interview, negotiate, basically all of the A to Z of job searching in a group container with life coaches and career coaches and an incredible peer group so that you can have the customization and the accountability and the support to make this massive pivot. I'd be so honored to be your career coach through that program. So I'll link that in the show notes, but you can go to cultivate.com/waitlist and join that so you can be the first to hear about all the details when the doors open. And yeah, I'm just so excited to support you along your journey. If you are listening to this because you're ready for a change, I just want to really let you know that that change is 100% possible. It doesn't have to happen overnight. Just allow yourself to dream and to take the first action. Whatever step that is, no matter how big or small, each step is going to breed clarity and confidence to get you to the other side of where you want to be. And my favorite quote of all time is from Jack Canfield. He says, "Everything you want is on the other side of fear." And I love that because I really believe that fear is what's going to hold us in our comfort zone from taking that first step. But with that first step, it truly is going to open up so many doors and opportunities of what's waiting for you on the other side. All right. Until then, I can't wait to share my next episode with Megan Myers. It's going to be called What to Do When You Hate Your Job But Can't Quit. Stay tuned. And until then, cultivate your joyful life. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you enjoyed it and you're not following me on social media already, come follow me and join the conversation on our latest post. I'm over at Cultivate, or you can visit our website cultivate.com and learn more. And don't forget to hit subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss another episode. I can't wait to connect with you again soon. Have a joyful day.